Good evening here. You have reached the Diamonds Network. Elizabeth Diamond, your host of the Diamonds Network, but tonight is Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Central with Dale and Sunny with Voices from the Alternative World, where they talk about organic way of living in relationship with family and with all of us because we are all one, and other organic ways of living scot-free and peace and harmony. So, like always, you guys can go to the Diamonds blog for your updates during the week to learn who you really are and what's going on in the world. And that's Diamonds with an S forever, 31.blogspot.com. And Diamonds Network is asking for benefactors. So you can push that little donation button on the right-hand side if your heart's desire. If you listen to these shows and you're growing from them, please be a part in the Diamonds Network. We want to do more things for the world, and you be part of it as benefactors. Looking for, monthly contributors or one-time contributors would really help. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to the bottom of your heart, and we bubble up together in happiness and joy and peace. So let's take this journey together. So, fabulous show last night, Monday. If you didn't listen to it, Cynthia talked about the astrology of the full moon we had last night. Peace, I'll give you a little hint, peace. You'll have to go listen to it. And galactizing, we had a few pets come in from people, and they were, we discovered a lot, and that was a couple happy pets last night. And galactized with Mothman and some other new things, talked about the weather. We did some good work last night, so be sure to listen to that. And all the shows, Monday through Thursday on the Diamonds Network. You can find all that information on the blog. So, Dale and Sunny, take it away. Give us a synopsis of what we're going to talk about tonight. And the other side of the room is open, so be aware. If you guys are all muted now, so if you want to interject anytime during the show, just *6 unmute and say hello, and I'm sure Sunny and Dale will hear you. So thank you. Take it away, guys. Oh, October 27, 2015.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we'll, as always, begin at the most important part. And Sunny, if I can prevail upon you to give us the law of one and then get started on the right foot, please. If you're there, I hope.
I am here. I'm here. I am happy to give the law of one.
Okay.
The law of one, the fundamental law of the universe, and this encompasses all, and this is very appropriate for our topic tonight because we are all one, and anyway, I'll say it now. You'll understand. We are all one. When one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. And I am one with all there is. So therefore, I ask that in the name of who I am, I ask that only that which serves the greater good of all happens here and now and through all time and space. I give thanks that it be done, and so it is, and so let it be. Blessed be.
Amen.
And this relates to having compassion for all of life, because we cannot hurt anything else without hurting ourselves. Blessed be. Okay, Dale.
Okay, well, the issue or the show that we're broadcasting tonight is regarding a plant-based diet, and you have to think that there are those times when there is a revelation of a new truth that can't be avoided. It's inconvenient and in conflict with everything that is, and the only vivid, example of this type of truth is Galileo. everyone in the world believed the world was flat, and that was the prevailing, agreement until that undiscovered truth came to light. And once that was discovered, the person who discovered it was eventually, Galileo was put in under house arrest for the remainder of his life as a heretic. Well, we're at this juncture now that there is another undiscovered truth that has, been revealed, and now it's once again time for us to change our behavior. And I think there's only really one change that is fundamental and primary to this transition, and that's the issue of being nonviolent in all respects, towards man, towards animals, towards nations, to everything, to our environment, to it's just an issue of being sensitized and understanding that we are our surroundings are an integral part of ourselves. So when we're damaging our surroundings and each other, we're damaging ourselves. We're actually inflicting injury by this behavior. Now, having said that, I think the most profound effect, or causative effect, that's going to be a mover and a shaker and a primary component of this change is our diet. And keep in mind, this is very much the same as Galileo in respect to this. It's becoming proven. In fact, there was a recent news blurb within the last few days that they came out and stated that meat causes cancer. Now, in recent history, one example is Oprah Winfrey. She took on the meat industry, and she found out where the beef was, and it almost bankrupted her, and she had to retract her statements. And because she didn't have the prevailing wind, didn't support her arguments. But now, as a result of individuals and organizations that have directly gone to hard science, we are in the transition into vegan and vegetarian, plant-based diets, as the cigarette industry was in the 60s, when they had the first disclaimer that said cigarettes may cause cancer. It's rather a benign statement that really nobody paid much attention to until people that smoked somehow subsequently lost their use of their lungs or respiratory systems, and cancer developed and what have you. So here we are, and so the bigger picture is we have to adopt behaviors, nonviolent behaviors, in contradictions to the war and the crime and the poverty of the past. So that one of the initial changes that we're going to be experiencing is, and this has to be substantiated by commonly understood and accepted science. And so I would say, I think that the one organization that I really want to focus on is Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and their website is www.pcrm.org. Now, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, they've changed those physicians that are attached to that group, and scientists are focused strictly on prevention instead of cure. And so what are the causative effects of disease and cancer and poor health and all the diabetes and obesity and cancer and heart disease and all these anomalies that affect us in the modern age and shorten our lifespan and limit our our lifestyles and quality of life. So and you have to realize that PCRM is really the mover and the shaker when it comes to changing to a plant-based diet. And through legislation based on proven science, they're changing the food pyramid. They're ending animal testing and animal cruelty, and with the military and animal testing in laboratories. They've got several universities that have signed on and do not use animals in the laboratory testing of any kind, and changing the school menus. And now there's several public schools that offer plant-based alternative menus that are equal to or greater than animal-based diets as far as nutrition is concerned. And the big thing, the really huge thing that they do, is they provide education and training in not only diet, but preparation of foods. They have cooking classes, and they provide them to hospitals where people can come in from the outside and learn the science of plant diets. And they, the thing of it is, the complaint has been, well, people that have plant food diets are nutritionally deficient. They don't have enough B12 or iron or calcium or whatever. And this is just a myth, But the problem is, I want to be vegan. All of a sudden, people go down to the grocery store and they buy a carrot and they buy a piece of celery, and they end up getting sick because they haven't done a sufficient study to make sure that they get all the nutritional requirements in their diet to be healthy. So this PCRM, I'm an advocate and a fan and a member. I recommend everybody join for that the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. It's the dues are $21 a year, and they send you a newsletter, and they send you menus and recipes, and it's really the stellar organization that's making the major changes in the world, in the scientific community, and in the legislative areas where the laws are being changed. So this new way of thinking is accepted, and they're not taken lightly. I mean, it's happening, and it's this organization and people in this organization that are causing it to happen by what they're doing. So, and this, and one of the fellows that's associated with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine is Dr. Colin Campbell, and he is from it's a big university, and I apologize for not having the name of it, but he's a microbiologist. From Cornell. There it is. I had a stroke in 2005, and every once in a while the synapses don't really snap real quick. But he's from Cornell, and he made a profound study in China that's comprised 50 million people over a large area of land, and there were two primary indicators that were rather startling, and he pursued with one of his colleagues to study this, and the discovery was simply that there were areas in China where there was large population, there wasn't any cancer, and then there were clusters of cancer, and so that's hurts your ear, and you want to focus on, okay, well, what are these people doing that is causing them to have cancer, and how come all these other people there's little or no cancer? And the primary element was the fact that the people that were eating meat had a animal based diet, and the people that didn't have cancer in the rest of the country, that was predominantly plant based. So then he went deeper into the study, and as a microbiologist, he's looking for what's happening on the molecular level and the metabolic area that's causing the development of these cancers. So it comes down to the animal proteins introduce a chemistry in the body that actually develops abnormal cells. And from these abnormal cells, the cancer evolves from them. And so, you know, and I just, the last 3 days, well, here, now for them to come on the news and say emphatically that eating meat causes cancer, you know, they're ready to take this to court and fight the battle. And that's where PCRM comes in. They're trying to debunk the myth that a vegan diet is just a fairy tale, you know. And along with the PCRM, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and people like Dr. Colin Campbell, that are, you know, associated with that organization, we have to look, well, so we're talking about how do we educate the world to get this change to, you know, get faster and quicker, you know, because the sooner we do it, the better things are going to be for all of us, and including the animals, by the way. So this next thing is, you know, I go to movies and I go to books, and so I have some recommendations here, and I don't want to. It's not a lengthy list. It's a short list, but I think one of the important movies, you know, that I want to talk about is Cowspiracy. Yeah, it's conspiracy instead of C-O-N, it's C-O-W. And Cowspiracy is a movie that gets down to the metrics of why an animal-based diet is unsustainable, and it has to do with resources. And you know, I recommend everyone watch that movie before, you know, read the books and watch the movie. And so Cowspiracy is the movie, and here that I have you know, a few books here, and you know, and I'm going to focus on the ones that Colin Campbell wrote. And you know, this is the one book. Well, the first book is Whole, W-H-O-L-E, and it's called Rethinking the Science of Nutrition. Okay, that's one of his books. And then this is the Campbell Plan. The Campbell Plan is another book. The Simple Way to Lose Weight and Reverse Illness Using the China Studies Plant-Based Diet Research. And then we have the other book is the China Study, the China Study Cookbook. Then there's over 120 whole food plant-based recipes, and that's a good place to start. And there's a lot of recipes that are out there, and I really want to focus on the ones that are scientifically based and are going to provide the adequate nutrition. Because you know, you can advocate something, but it's not necessarily healthy. So, and then this is the big one, the China Study. And it really is the most comprehensive study of nutrition ever conducted. And it's startling implication as far as diet, weight loss, and long-term health. If you don't read anything else, the China Study by Dr. Colin Campbell is the big one. And then, you know, the macro issue is in all of this is the role of plant-based diets and its role in building a nonviolent future. This behavior change that's taking place really has to do with a pivotal change in the fundamental nature of man to accept and advocate and rationalize violence, to understanding that it's absolutely necessary that we be nonviolent in order to sustain ourselves as human beings, particularly with the advent of the nuclear age, and we have mutually assured destruction as the outcome for conflict. And they've been playing this game of hegemony, and they call it gunboat diplomacy. And where we can, we will use the military to do what we can until we can't do it anymore. And this is where these protracted conflicts like Iran and Afghanistan and now Syria and you name your poison. But it means that we can have war and sell weapons, and as long as it doesn't develop into a nuclear confrontation with another superpower. Now they've been harping about, well, we're the only superpower. We're the only superpower. Well, that means I don't know what the translation is, but it says, well, we can do whatever we want because we're the only superpower. What they fail to think about is, as you use this violence and you use that violence against other nations, it's like a bully. And when I was a kid, we had bullies, and finally, what we did when we didn't want to be bullied anymore, we all ganged up together and beat the bully up. Well, we're only a nation of 300 million people, okay? And all of a sudden, you start making enemies of everybody, and you become a minority. So by abdicating gun diplomacy, we've lost the moral high ground. Because we haven't embraced the other nations as our equals, we've created these enemies, and you can see the firestorm that's developed in the Middle East as a result of our military intervention. So, at the core of this behavior of changing our diet is the understanding that we're changing our behavior because of our understanding and our spiritual growth. So. And this is tantamount to everything. And I said, you get recently the two things that really two events that have taken place was a Charter for Compassion, and also this was this parliamentary Congress of. I'm looking through my notes here. I'm trying to find out where I've got it written down. Excuse me. Hang on. This is I've got to develop my professional broadcasting skills and get my notes in order. But anyway, there was a parliament of religions, of the world's religions in Utah recently, and they're looking at the core of the matter. They were looking at how do we change our heart, because until we change internally what we believe and think, will never change what we know and do. So this plant-based diet is really one of the primary movers to that behavior, because all of a sudden we're not killing animals to eat anymore. That act of violence of killing animals, or using them in medical research, or abusing them in any way, that act is an act of nonviolence, and define nonviolence as love for ourselves, our surroundings, and everything in it, and that just goes back to the law of one. Do no harm. We're not here to run around and impose our will on everyone by force. So this is a major change. Just like Galileo, we're saying the world is round, it's not flat. So we got to change our maps, change our thinking, change our behavior, and carry on. So it doesn't conflict with. We're not getting into pros and cons of any communism, capitalism, versus some other socialism or any of this. Non-violence. That is the stream through all of these systems that has to be changed. And so the interesting thing is that I just want to point to some really recent developments that support the idea of adopting plant-based diets. And first of all, let's talk about an individual. I don't know, you everyone here that's listening, and my panelists that share the panel with me may already know this, but I didn't know it, so I thought I'd tell everybody. Stevie Wonder has been a vegan for over a year. So, the issue, do vegans have soul? Well, hey, buddy, Stevie Wonder's my bro, what can I tell you? And he's on board. And then, like I say, that's kind of iconic. That when the people that we know and see are adopting a change in their behavior, and knowing Stevie, it was probably hard to get him away from the barbecue pit. So it was a major change for him. And so the other thing, the big movie like the Star Wars event, I would say up to this date is Cowspiracy. Everybody should see that, and it tells that movie can educate billions of people. All they have to do is look at it and think about it, and then the news event, and that's just happened this weekend. They came out, meat causes cancer. So you see, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to go with the momentum of the time, and not be in conflict with the change, but understand it and be in concert with it. So, having said all that, I'm open for discussion.
Hi, Dale. Okay, that was a great presentation, and I just wanted to say a few more things that Cynthia mentioned the other day, yesterday on the Diamond Show, that this relates to compassion for animals astrologically. Juno, which is a asteroid, is in the 11th house in the place of animal healing. So there's a focus on animal healing right now overall. That may tie in with the, although the WHO declaration most likely is based on what they see as science, it all kind of synchronizes in together. I thought that was interesting that should come out just before we were going to give this talk tonight. And then I read an article. This is off the internet, and of course we always have to do our research to verify, the truth of some of these things. But it said that 16 million people in the U.S. are now vegans or vegetarians, and the majority of those people are women.
Let's say hip hip hooray!
Yeah. They will go on. There's plenty of comments on this article, and some will say, well, they this and that, majority are women, though, because women tend to have open hearts and compassion, but I see, of course, Dale has that, and there are plenty of men that have it as well that I've known. And another documentary that I've seen that's good is Food Incorporated, and that really shows the conditions that these factory farms and meat and dairy, they're just huge, and they're just so utterly gross. You really come in close and see what's going on there. It's so cruel. And I would say that anyone who feels they need to eat meat should take a good look at, they should visit one of these facilities. Not saying that there are people out there, we can't expect everybody to change all at once, and some people really believe that they need to eat meat, and there's this paleo diet craze that's been going on, and they're telling people that, and a lot of people really are into this and believe in it and believe it's helping them, that they need to eat the way their Paleolithic ancestors did, which does have a lot of vegetables in it and fermented foods and all. It also includes quite a bit of meat and fat. So that people are talking about that. So that's kind of in contradiction to the vegan thing. But I feel that you just don't know where some of this is coming from. It's like an extension of the Atkins diet, and so, yeah, I believe that along with everything else, humanity is evolving spiritually. Many of us are, and many in a broader context seem to be evolving spiritually. Yes?
Let's see if there's anybody who wants to add anything on the other side. Just star 6, everybody. That was great. Wow.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, open.
Well, anytime, just star 6 while Sonny and Dale are talking. Yep. Go ahead, Guy.
Yeah. Okay.
There's an interesting thing that really struck me. and Oprah ran into the meat industry when she made those statements on her television program and found herself in court in Texas. And it's the same, and it has to do with the issue of nonviolence. The reason why we have war is because there's a good percentage of the world that's making their living and making trillions of dollars out of military hardware. So when Darwin comes along and says it's survival of the fittest, and this is the natural order of things, and that gave them the rationale they needed to overcome the religious issues of thou shalt not kill. They say, well, the natural order of the things is lion devours the wildebeest, and that's the way it is. So and then they go on this rampage and if there isn't a war in place, they'll go start one, because they're in Darwin's theory is this idea of control of the species, the population. So that's what wars do. They get rid of people, and that fits with that agenda. It's the one percenters have trillions of dollars, and they want to keep the earth and a state that is beneficial to them. So, and anyway, and the meat industry is the same. I was just going to go to the meat industry. Is that the industrial agricultural model is there are trillions and trillions of dollars being made off of the domesticated herds of animals and fish farms that are so there's a strong, powerful advocacy for keeping meat in our on the news and hamburgers and steaks and all of that. So some of this is
let me put a twist
negative.
in it. Can I put a twist in it? Okay?
Huh? No.
Let me put a
go
twist
ahead.
in all what you're saying. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, let me put a twist in all
Yeah, I can hear you.
Somebody talked to me today, and it just reminded me, and we're talking about vegan, don't eat no meat or anything. Well, if we've done a research, how are we going to get around this? So let's have this deep discussion and bring it out. How are we going to get around this? We talk about not eating meat and all that, and vegan, and it's healthy for us. But right now in the matrix where we live, in the slave world, where most people live, there's corporations run by the 10%. And these corporations like McDonald's and, okay, Tyson, go. Like a McDonald's and all that, if you do research, McDonald's has stuff in their food, including embryos, including human meat, and other restaurants and others. Even it's in mayonnaise. Fetuses are in mayonnaise. Human meat is in mayonnaise and other products. So what I'm saying is they've made sure we eat our own cells. We eat our own animal cells, probably keep down our DNA. So even if you do go vegan, we're still eating meat and all other kinds of little things. But what I'm saying is you just go by your heart's desire, do it naturally, and the world's going to change naturally, and all the corporations got to quit doing that stuff in our stuff and food, too. Okay, I'm just throwing that out to put a little twist. Let's discuss that out. Let's iron that out.
Well, Elizabeth, the way I look at it, Sunny, I think it was Sunny that brought up the fact that there are 60 million people who are vegetarian or vegan. And this is, I want this educational process, I want to make this very clear, that when we're talking about a vegan diet, we're talking about no animal products whatsoever. And if you go on a vegan diet, that's why you need to study this and use these recipes. Because,
what I'm saying, even if you eat mayonnaise, you're still eating your own flesh.
Well, yeah, the mayonnaise is not vegan unless it's made completely from a plant-based source. if it's got eggs or milk or anything in it, other than, yeah. So, you know, that what I'm saying is to be vegan. Yeah, you have to walk the walk, and what the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, it's no problem walking the walk. If you read Dr. Colin Campbell's book and get his cookbooks and follow the agenda and regime of the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, you know, the whole issue of animal-based diets goes by the wayside. So, in answer to your question, it's going to be an educational process as always, and it's going to be based in science. You know, and then here's a little kicker. You know, and I always feel, well, you know, I'm sitting in the catbird seat because the Creator is, you know, behind all of this inspiration, and you know, thousands of years ago, if I was running around in my animal skins, ranting and raving about vegetarian, well, they'd probably chop my head off and eat me. You know, so you have to realize that this agenda is as a result of evolution and timing for the appropriate place and time, and it's brought on by the Creator. The Creator is inspiring people, and there's a story about this rancher, you know, a cattle rancher, and they turned their cattle ranch into a refuge for animals, and what it was is his wife, when he married her and they started the ranch, she started adopting these animals as pets and family members, and she wouldn't allow him to slaughter them, you know. So what happens is you have to have faith that this when I say examine the facts, what I'm looking for is changes on the ground that are inspired by the Creator, and that unless it's the time and place, it may 1,000 years ago it may have been fine for individuals.
This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com. Please enter your access code followed by the pound sign.
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me, Dale? Hello?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
I'm still here, Dale. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Line of all over.
Hello? Hello?
Dale? 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 Can you hear me?
Hello?
I can hear you. Hello? Dale? Hello? Hello? I think we need to call back in.
Yeah, okay, I'll call back again.
Dale, can you hear me now? Dale? Okay.
Hello. Am I loud and clear now? Hello.
Dave? Hello? Dave? It looks like you have to call back, call in, and try again. Hello? Anybody there?
Hi. Hi, this is Sunny. I had to dial back in.
Yeah, it looks like Dave's
Something happened.
saying hello, and it looks like he doesn't hear it. Yeah. Something got disconnected.
Yeah.
And I dialed back in, and I heard him saying hello. So maybe everybody needs to dial back. Since that some people are hearing. I was hearing you from a distance. Yeah, you guys who are the talkers, you're the ones whose voice is lost. We on the side who are on the mute, we hear everything. So it looks like the connection between the people who are talking is lost.
Can anybody hear me?
Oh, there he is. Yes,
right.
Dale, are you there?
Okay, well.
Yeah, I'm
happened.
sorry. I don't know what happened. Yeah, the signal dropped.
It sounded like somebody was trying to dial in. Yeah. Somebody was trying to dial in, and then we couldn't hear each other. But
okay.
So are we? See, we're here. Is Elizabeth here?
Yeah, the punchline.
Oh, okay. Hi.
The punchline that I wanted to get to, the punchline I wanted to get to close the conversation was, and this has to go to Lance. You know, last time we were on broadcast, he brought up the question. Well, how are we going to do this? And it's really simple. This transition is we're not going to do anything. What we're going to do is follow the Creator's inspiration, and this thing is going to happen organically. And everyone just has to look at themselves and if make a choice of what part they're going to play in it, and just be a part of the natural order of things, and in concert with what's appropriate for the individual. And that's the essence of it.
That.
It's just
it's the bigger picture. Yeah, it's part of the bigger picture unfolding. Yeah, the consciousness raising and the old order falling. All the unsustainable ways of eating and producing food and the big factory farms and
it's funny.
They're all bad to be there, but anyway.
It's funny, Sonny, but as soon as you say, well, something's got to be done, and you ask the question of yourself, then you find about it. All of a sudden, a list with 1,000 things on it appears. 1,000 things you can do to make the world a better place, and so you just pick one and start the journey.
Yeah. Yes, I mean we all have our calling. We all have what calls to us the most, and other things that might be along the lines. But that's the. I see it as a total picture that's just changing and evolving, and the awareness is rising, and people are, not too long ago, most people weren't too aware of how their meat got to them and what the conditions they were produced under. Now, of course, in the so-called good old days, people had their own. They were much more in touch with what they were eating if they had their own cows and chickens and all that, and they knew the source. They knew what it took to get. They had to kill the animals themselves, and some people still do that. So at least they're in touch with the process, and they may have their hearts weren't open enough to be able to deal of compassion, that they just felt that it was just something that they had to do. You know, it was just how it was. That's just how it is. You know. So anyway, but that's just at least for people like that, they're in touch with the process. They know what's going on. They aren't just going to a supermarket and buying something neatly wrapped package. You know, not really even barely knowing where it came from. You know, bacon. All right, bacon is this thing that comes in a package, and you put it on the grill, and it sizzles, and a lot of people really like it, but they aren't aware of the suffering that goes into it, into the production of it. Anyway, that's
in answer to Elizabeth,
we have a yeah. Well, I was just
in answer to Elizabeth's question.
We have a place called. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, in answer to Elizabeth's question, is you have a choice, okay? And if the adopting a plant-based diet, resonates with you, then you absolutely have to do the study to make so that vegetarian diet or vegan diet that you're adopting is sufficient in all the nutritional requirements. And that's where, studies like Dr. Campbell's cookbook and PCRM and their recipes, and because on every recipe they give you a detailed, explanation of how many grams of protein and how much fat and how much sugar and how many carbohydrates and what the vitamin C's, the vitamin content is, and so that when you put these menus together, that you say, well, this is what I'm going to have tonight, and when you finish your meal, you've got everything you need, and the right amount of calories and so on and so forth. So it was necessary for them to do that in order to change the agenda and get these vegan options in the school menus, so the kids that didn't want to eat meat had the choice. So this is why I'm a crazy aggressive advocate of that organization, because they work so hard at changing, and based on real proven science is irrefutable. You just argue against it, and that ultimately is what's going to carry the day, and change the behavior. So.
Well, they're doing some very good work. I get their emails. I've been on the email for a while.
I just love those guys. I think they're an example of the kind of organizations that are going to carry us into the future. They just really are a fantastic group.
Yeah, and that gets into, of course, the whole medical thing too, which is so much. Other medical training involves cruelty to animals, and the pharmaceutical industry and all that.
The focus is on prevention. Hey, we if you want to cure disease, find out what causes it. Don't treat the symptoms and make a profit off of it.
Yeah, they want to. The old paradigm would prefer to keep people sick and just give them drugs, give them pharmaceuticals.
Yeah,
lots of money, but patch up
for God's sake
here and there, but not really. Yeah.
Exactly, Sonny. Don't cure the disease.
So much
go broke.
involved.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't
so
stop
much
war.
involved in health.
It's like don't stop war. I'm getting rich off of it. That's where we're fighting that kind of ignorance. And
yeah, that's the old paradigm. That's what they've been up to. That's changing. We believe that's
changing. Just like I say, you can fool some of the people some of the time and some of the people all the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. So that's the juncture that we're at now. The truth truth is going to set us free, and the truth has to prevail. You know, it's an interesting on a nonviolent note that the rhetoric in the legal administration of justice, where the conflicts are, we have to have law and order, and then somebody has to have the supreme power that everybody has to acknowledge and respond to, and that's and the average individual on the street really doesn't understand that when a policeman pulls you over, you're under arrest, and when he asks something of you, it's not a request, it's an order. So and if you don't want to comply with the order, then you are a criminal, and he's going to have his way with you. Now the issue is, we are giving the authority to those policemen to protect us, and everybody that comes in contact with the police understands that you just, it's yes sir, no sir, what can I do for you? I'll be happy to help you, and respond accordingly, or you're going to be treated like a criminal. And so the issue is, everybody, the conflict comes to say, well, I've got rights. Well, unfortunately, where it comes to police power, you really don't. And if you fight that, if you're going to conduct a war, you certainly don't want to conflict your troops. And the police can't have any conflictions. Either the individual responds to the request, or he's a criminal. And you're responsible to see what's there to be seen. And if you don't acknowledge it and respond to it, then whatever the outcome is, it's your problem. Now, what's happening? This is a startling thing here. This is that police see that respect for the law and order and police power is no longer being acknowledged, and they're not risking life and limb if they're not supported by the state. So you can't have it both ways. If you're going to have a nonviolent society, then everybody has to be nonviolent, and including the police and including the citizens. So
yeah, I was wondering how we should bring this back to you were talking about nonviolence and how a plant-based diet would support nonviolence.
There's one fundamental. Yeah. Well, the one fundamental indicator of the transition from this world into the one that's being built is nonviolence. So you can look at all of these issues on a daily basis and see where the conflict exists. We have a desire to be peaceful, and we don't want anybody abusing anybody, and we don't want any. Okay, well, if you're gonna create the injustice with the law, and try to perpetuate the injustice with laws of ownership, and then protect those laws that are false with police power, and this is a society that everyone agrees to. Then by law, you have become a slave to that power, and you have to submit. And that's part of being a citizen in this structure. So it's interesting. The FBI now is saying there's a spike in violent crime, and his hypothesis is, well, the police are choosing not to respond, jeopardize themselves. They don't want to jeopardize their ability to be a policeman, or they don't want to jeopardize their personal possessions and their wealth because they have to hire attorneys and so on and so on and so on. So, okay, well, since nobody wants to respond to the police and police powers don't mean anything, then just do what you want to do. We'll just drive around on the police cars and write tickets and be, and be kind and be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I think we're getting this is the conflict. Field of the topic here.
Well, I don't think so, because the issue is nonviolence. And every area in our society where there's violence, there's an issue. And so now this issue is starting to be articulated. Of police power. That's this where the rubber meets the road. You've given that individual the ability to use maximum force. That's just like killing animals. And they say, well, if you don't respond to the police, the only option I have is I got to shoot. And well, there are police powers or there not. There is you either advocate violence or you don't. So when I say that the pivotal issue in all of this and having a plant-based diet is the change from being a violent center to a nonviolent center. And so I look for examples everywhere where this issue is coming to the public square.
Right. Yeah, and that's just the example of how society has been all these years because of the lack of evolution or whatever it is. People are just acting and reacting, and they're just not in their center. They aren't in compassion, and perhaps a lot of this has to do with their diet and the drugs that they use and pharmaceuticals and all those things. So it's all these effects, all these causes.
The nonviolence has to be a foundation of the in the alternative community world. Where the emphasis is on peaceful, nonviolent, small communities. That's the fundamental thing.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, but to make that step from going.
Yeah.
Making the step from having laws and police powers and wars to being nonviolent. This is where the Charter for Compassion comes in. It's like the very beginning of the Magna Carta when it was decided that the best way to do it is everybody had to abide by the law, not just commoners. The kings were under the same jurisdiction. So that created the equality, and so these major steps in evolution come with a constitution, and so the constitution of our world, the new world that we're building, is in the process of being developed. And I think the Charter of Compassion is an early beginning, by no means complete or detailed, but it's a start. You got to start someplace. So we're that was what the significance of
good document. It's something that. Yeah, compassion, of course, has to come from our own hearts. But if we can be exposed to documents like that, it can just kind of get it more in our consciousnness and moving in that direction.
And the devil's in
definitely a good thing.
The devil's in the details. We have to cobble out all this and get it on paper and get it under reading and writing, thinking and knowing and believing and doing. So that it is put together in an organized fashion, as has everything but put together in all our history of evolution. So we're articulating those things. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, what I'd like to say is, and this is got nothing against men or you or anything, but the feminine principle, the goddess principle, divine feminine, which is being manifested more fully on the planet right now, is part of this process. And we come, the feminine principle, more focused on the heart than on the head. The heart, as Cynthia has spoken of, has I don't have the exact figures here, but it has a much bigger field around it than the brain. It really has the power to move mountains, so to speak, and create much change. So for both men and women to bring about a balance of the male and female energies within, the divine feminine and the divine masculine. I feel this has a lot to do with this change that's going on. I mean, this is from the inside out, and then this will have this feeling of compassion for all of life, and you wouldn't want to look in the eyes even of a chicken or of a lamb or something like that, and then kill it, because you're looking into the soul of this animal, and you're just seeing yourself. You're seeing this oneness and this innocence too. That to just, to no longer do that.
Well,
to no longer kill animals.
I'm looking at the clock, Elizabeth.
Yes.
We are at the point of departure from the show. As it's coming to an end, is there anyone out there that has any questions or closing thoughts?
Candy, are you still here?
Fasten
right.
your seatbelts. We're taking off again. Here we go. Till next week. Shine, Diamond. Shine bright. Love you. Love you guys.
I just wanted to mention. Thank you. And Sunny, if we could do some emails and make a format for next week's show, talk about it and see if anybody wants to
I have an
appear
idea.
as a guest. Okay, great.
I have an idea.
Well, listen, everybody. Good night.
My
Enjoy the program.
Yeah.
Thank you. Love you guys.
And Sunny and
Bye-bye.
Sonny and Dale, message me the title of the show so I can send it to Chris tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
Love ya.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here.